Because Sabrina Ongkiko's TED Talk topic truly interested me, I chose to comment on it. We all have the same question on our minds. So with Sabrina's speech, her speech aims are very current and conspicuous. What we actually want to be is a question that she wants us to discover on our own. And aligned with this, her discourse aimed to emphasize the significance of deciding on the kind of person we want to be. She wanted to accomplish the goal of sharing her experience while also making a connection between it and the values of our lives as individuals. We have the freedom to do as we choose and create ourselves into the people we want to be as human beings with just one life to live. Even though her mission is explicit, she was able to divide it into several life viewpoints. When Sabrina asked her audience what they intended to do in the future, several of them responded that they wanted to be a lawyer, a doctor, architect, or other professions, even though the camera was not focused on them. If we look at it from a different angle, the audience for Sabrina's speech is more likely her students in a classroom. Her ideal listeners had increased the likelihood that her lecture would be engaging. Her TED presentation has a highly suitable audience because she sought to emphasize this particular connection of supporting her listeners in comprehending the path toward knowing, since she stood up in front of many people, specifically the youth, as her audience. Sabrina was able to inspire her audience by sharing her life tales and conveying her emotions to them both verbally and non-verbally because of the interpersonal context she had. She used parallelism as a way to use her language, and she was extremely good at applying foregrounds as she speaks. Her speech was ordered both in terms of pronunciation and speech patterns due to the inclusive language she employed. She began the speech with a question, which was a really effective way to start a speech. The audience laughed when she even joked about wanting to be a Power Ranger in the past. And that's actually a good thing because it made the crowd laugh, which made the interaction between Sabrina and her audience more fascinating. Her ability to strike a balance between her speech's purpose and entertainment made it possible to achieve that goal. Her speech opening has no loopholes in it, so I have no other comments for her introduction. When she got to the meat of her speech, it was very great how she brought up one instance of a person by the name of Jackson who had gone through a lot, particularly the challenges that ultimately led to his demise. It was fantastic what Sabrina said about becoming the hero of his own story and trying to escape the maze he is in. In order to effectively convey her context, Sabrina was able to integrate her strategies for employing figures of speech. She told a lot of different stories with a lot of different lessons in it. The lesson in choosing what they want to do or the true calling in their life. The only criticism I would have been that she might want to structure her remarks in a more sequential fashion, since I found it a little difficult to follow since it was all in Filipino. I found it a little challenging to understand the logic of her speech because she was not too able to segue between ideas very well. On the other hand, her assertion that love can serve as a basis for assisting someone in making a career decision is highly praiseworthy. She placed a lot of emphasis in her work as a public educator on how to lead a youngster in the direction of their true purpose. She was able to connect the critical part of her speech in her conclusion and was able to establish a concise ending that will surely mark the hearts and minds of her audience. To sum up my observations regarding her nonverbal cues, she was generally able to manage the time, and it was very clear how she had prepared for this one. While the audience cannot be seen in the camera, I had a small issue with the distance between her and the audience. I believe it would be better if the crowds were also shown to symbolize the distance or the space between Sabrina and her listeners in their own special way. Yet it was generally apparent that her audience was paying attention to her. The way her body moved and how she looked were both excellent. Her attire reflected who she is, a qualified educator. Her physical attributes reflected her profession as a teacher who is eager to impart knowledge to her pupils. To gauge her students' attention and to give her audience a focal pattern, it would have been excellent if she had moved about the stage while speaking. This would have helped her pupils become more involved in what she was saying. Her paralinguistic skills were excellent, and I applaud her for achieving so. Her intonation, voice pitch, and use of emphasis were all done at the appropriate tempo. When it comes to other factors, including the visual aids, I was expecting for a more teacher-student theme where she will present a PowerPoint with big text there that shows the key points of her discussion. It might have been even more better if she did that so that the delivery of her speech is more purposive and at the same time informative. But aside from that, she was able to give out this drive to the students to choose their true calling and to use love as a building foundation in carrying strength in choosing what they want to be. As a student, it inspired me to be never afraid in knowing what path I want to take and what I really want to do. Her speech motivated me to keep doing my best even if struggles go through my way. Her talk was an amazing masterpiece, a heartwarming reminder for the teenagers and the adults out there, including me. That is all for my critic. Thank you.